the 76 Capital Leadership Series. I'm your host, Wayne Kimmel, and also managing partner of 76 Capital. Really excited today to be talking with, we've got a great guest to come on. And as you all know, you can reach me anywhere at Wayne Kimmel, certainly on Twitter. There's a great place for us to be able to communicate and share a lot of the things that we do here at 76 Capital and all the great things that we do on our leadership series. So please reach out to me on Twitter at Wayne Kimmel. Also, really excited to, as usual, have a great producer and our chief of staff at 76 Capital, James Santor. You can reach out to James on Twitter at James Santor as well. And he's doing some amazing things, not only at 76 Capital, but also what he's doing to save LaSalle baseball, as you see on his Twitter, and you'll see some great things that he's done there. Today's guest on the show is Mike Schreiber, the CEO of Playfly Sports. He can be reached at MA Schreiber on Twitter, as well as at Playfly Sports, which he is the CEO of, and we'll be talking a lot about that. And look, on 76 Capital Leadership Series, what we do is we reach out to the executives, the entrepreneurs, the innovators, the athletes who are doing the next thing in sports, who are truly the ones who are pushing the limits, doing things in sports tech, esports, and sports betting, and really trying to create the future of sports. And that's what this is all about. So you can learn about all the things that we do on all our social media channels at 76 Capital, on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, as well as on LinkedIn. Also, you can go to our YouTube page for our podcast, our video cast. You can get all of our podcasts on Spotify, on Anchor, as well as on Apple as well. So with that, really excited to bring in our guest today. It's Mike Schreiber, the CEO of Playfly Sports. Playfly was founded by Mike and the Baltimore-based investment firm Access Holdings and the media company Sinclair Broadcast Group. Mike is also part of the 76 Capital family, an advisor at 76 Capital and co-founder of our 76 Capital Sports Advisory business. He had an amazing career in the corporate world as an executive at the Fortune 500 company Altice. He also spent 14 years at NBC and at Comcast, and he did some incredible things that we'll talk about, some of things that he did at Comcast and NBC, and it goes on with doing things with Hulu and Netflix and Amazon and Apple. He's a graduate of the University of Virginia and has his MBA from the Kellogg School of Management at Northwestern University. Mike, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, I appreciate it. This is fun. Fun. It's fun to be on the other side of your leadership series. So,
well, it's great to have you. I love your setup. I see that University of Virginia basketball back there. It looks great.
Yep. I'm trying to compete with your setup, Wayne. Here, you always have the best looking, setup behind you. You got the light the right way, everything. I'm learning from the best here, Wayne. So.
Well, thanks, Mike. I appreciate it. And look, this is always fun. I mean, it's always fun because what we do on the leadership series is really talk to executives like you and innovators who are really pushing the limits in sports. And I think, before we kind of get into that part of it, you grew up in Baltimore. I love the stories. Maybe talk a little bit about your a little bit of your background from growing up, but also what was it about sports and what were some of your favorite teams when you first were getting into this world?
Yeah, definitely. So I grew up in Baltimore, as you said, and I was actually a diehard Baltimore Colt fan as a kid. So the Baltimore Colts were my team. Every year for Halloween, which is tomorrow or this week, I was a Baltimore Colt, my costume every year. So, as a kid, and then 10 years old, the middle of the night during a snowstorm, I wake up the next morning and the morning paper lands on our doorstep and it says the Colts are gone. So gives you a sense of, I was such a big diehard fan. I went with my grandfather and my father every Sunday to the games, and oh my gosh, so sad for a kid. But so I was a big sports fan growing up, going to Memorial Stadium, watching the Orioles and the Colts. But obviously, we ended up getting the Ravens in '96. So it's been a great run for them with a couple of Super Bowls since they came to Baltimore. So big fan there. And then I grew up as a Terps fan, actually. So a lot of my family went to University of Maryland, and obviously growing up in Baltimore, just a big fan of the Terps and their run. Loved obviously their run in the early 2000s, and their championship, etc. So in basketball, but been a big fan of the sort of Maryland and Baltimore sports since I was a kid. Always going to the games with my dad, and I even went to, actually, speaking of a connection to us at 76, right? I actually went to a Baltimore Stars game in 1985 when when the Colts left town and we were sitting there without anything to do football wise. I actually, my father and I picked up and went at College Park, actually at University of Maryland, and we went to a Baltimore Stars game. Little did I know that 25, 30 years later, that I'd be actually working with John Powell, and his family, and the owner of the Stars at that time. So kind of funny how the world, how the cycles work here, but yeah.
Well, incredibly small. Excited that after you left Altice, we had the opportunity of spending a lot of time together at 76 Capital, and now I love that new shirt. You're now the CEO of Playfly Sports, and excited to talk about that and have you sort of share with our audience here on our 76 Capital Leadership Series what Playfly Sports is and what you're doing there.
Yeah, great. So happy to talk about it. Excited. So the business basically launched about a month ago. So you can see some images here, me with my team, Brad, who leads the Virginia team. But we launched a month ago. We are a college sports business. We also have a high school sports business, but we're focused on multimedia rights on one hand, and esports and digital platforms on the other hand. And I'll explain sort of the connection between those two. But basically, the vision behind the business, I've always been in businesses that are relatively disruptive when it comes to changing the model in the media landscape. And Wayne, you mentioned some of my background, which I appreciated, but it's really been always a digital transformation that I've been focused on, whether it was at NBC when we did some of the first deals in the industry with Apple and Amazon, and founded the Hulu business, or at Comcast even later in my career when we turned sort of the screen and box model in your living room into a digital experience on your phone with the Stream app, where you can get all the games and TV shows on your phone. Really saw a big opportunity in college sports where you can see how innovation happens at the sort of national level across ESPN, example, 90 million households, being able to actually innovate across the full landscape of the US. When you bring it down to a pro team, you fragment it a little more by market and region. And then when you bring it back to a university, you can see our properties here. You really have less of an opportunity to innovate because your install base is so much smaller at a university level. So what I saw was an opportunity, not only in sort of the grand awakening of sports and all of the great sports tech that we talk about at 76 Capital, but to be able to bring that innovation to a college level, you need to think about it as a platform so you can build technology across properties. So across those great properties you saw on the page before that are part of our ecosystem. So being able to match those properties up with technology platforms is really my goal. So I saw that as an opportunity. So the first step in that was,
hey, Mike, real quick, just for our audience on the podcast side of the world, for our video cast, they'll see this, but there's some really big colleges, universities that you work together with at Playfly. Yeah. Maybe share some of those.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks for the reminder about that. Yeah, hello, podcast audience. I'm glad to be here. So thank you. We, as part of our portfolio, we have some great brands and great partners. LSU, Go Tigers. We've got the Cavaliers, UVA, the Maryland Terrapins. We've got Denver. We've got New Mexico, the Lobos. We've got Wichita State. We have we have Troy in Alabama. We have the St. Bonaventures in New York. We've got Oral Roberts in Oklahoma. So we've got Oakland and Old Dominion, and then we have actually also we run the postseasons and the state championships for a number of states, around eight different states across the country. some of those properties are pretty substantial. For example, California, we run California with the federation, the CIF Federation, and their amazing team. For example, they have almost 900,000 student athletes running through their programs that we work with them on every year. And when you think about that, plus the actual family members who are engaged, 2 million people engage in high school postseason and championships related to the great state of California. So that's CIF. You can see it there. We have a number of situations, different schools and states across the country. Here's 8 of our programs and partners. So it's really an interesting microcosm as you think about the whole progression from the high school side all the way up to the college side. So those are our exclusive partners. We're growing partners as well. We have a number of new discussions with new universities and states around the high school sphere. So we're continuing to grow that group of exclusive partners. But really, we're nothing without our partners. They're really the impetus of our whole business. We're there just to explain what multimedia rights is for a minute. We're there really to support them. We help them run all of their commercial rights. So whether it's a content development and distribution of content, whether we're talking about audio or video, etc. We also help them with their digital platforms, whether it's websites, apps, etc. We also help them with all their in-venue activity, all their partnerships. So being an exclusive partner to the Athletic Association and or being a sponsor and a media participant in and around the athletics. We help our partners lead that as well, and really try to be the driver of as much revenue and partnership and value as we can for the schools. So that's really our job, and continuing to drive the brand and the vision and the values of the school and the athletic department is our goal. And the fun part of it is we're working with students, so student athletes on the college level, student athletes on the high school level. So it actually is a lot of fun because you not only have that commercial side running a business, but you have this nice social element too, where really it's all student athletes. They're focused on their own dreams and path forward, and you get to support them. Here's a great image of our team at LSU. This is the Playfly team who supports the LSU athletic department. We're actually standing on the field here. This was last weekend. You can see a storm coming. Unfortunately, they've been hit by a lot of storms in Louisiana this year. So really resilient team there. Very energetic. Have dealt with all the blows this year. Not only obviously coronavirus, but just I think it's 3 direct hits from hurricanes this year alone, which has been amazing. Luckily all of our team members there and all of the athletic department are doing fine and no major damage, but they've definitely had some hoops to go through and some challenges with this season of storms. But you can actually see an ominous cloud behind us as we're standing in Tiger Stadium there. This was the last weekend. They had a nice big win over South Carolina in the stadium there. But so it's exciting times. And we're matching all of those exclusive partners and rights up with digital platforms and really building out, whether it's video, audio, subscription, membership. We're looking at new categories, and a lot of categories that Wayne, you take a leadership position in terms of esports and sports betting. We actually decided to take a big jump into esports. We really a lot of the experiences that we have at 76 has sort of pointed us in the direction that esports is here to stay. It's real. There's money to be made. There's value to be created for the esports athletes, teams, organizations, etc. So we actually created a new entity combining the CSL esports business with the WGN esports business. So we put them together and created the Playfly Esports business that is now being run by Rob Johnson, who's a friend of 76 as well. A great leader for us. We're the largest collegiate esports league in the country. We are on all Power 5 campuses. We have about 1,800 schools that have participated, and it's really an exciting time. And then WGN is an amateur esports brand, and we provide not only the league but the services to a number of different partners. We work with all the major professional sports leagues, as you can see here, a number of teams, individual teams. obviously we have a huge number of schools, 1,800 schools, and a ton of brand partnerships. We do things, you can see some of our partners up there. For example, we ran the TikTok Cup this summer as an implementation, running a college esports a tournament for TikTok as they continue to do their branding this summer. But we're excited about that business. Really, the cool thing about college campuses right now is 70 to 80% of every kid that ends up on the campus is considered themselves a gamer, boy or girl, in some way or another. And so we believe that 5 to 10 years from now, when you look at a college campus, you're going to talk about the football team, you're going to talk about the basketball team, and then the third thing you're going to talk about is the esports teams. And that's my thesis and hypothesis, and Rob's really hopped on board to sort of bring that to fruition over the next bunch of years, taking the success from those early businesses that we have and building them into a really, really large business, and not only the business itself, but supporting our schools. Right, so we're working with a number of our schools to develop their esports programs, and that's a big focus for us, is to help them get educated as well as help them develop their programs and recurring revenue, especially in the current budget situations that a lot of schools are in this year with COVID. We feel like we can be helpful expanding categories.
Well, it's absolutely incredible. I mean, you could, and I know you could go on. I mean, it's incredible all the things that you're doing at this quote unquote startup called Playfly Sports. Mike, it's really amazing. It's great to have Mike Schreiber on our 76 Capital Leadership Series, the CEO of Playfly Sports, who really, you're touching on everything from high school sports to collegiate sports to bringing new sports to the college world. I mean, that's such a great statement, and I hope you're right that you're going to be thinking about football, basketball, and esports as the third major sport. It's pretty incredible. I mean, look, a couple of years ago, a lot of people didn't even know what esports was. A lot of people learned what esports was, quite frankly, during the pandemic, when they would see it on ESPN. They would see these different shows. I mean, literally, esports is young people competing against each other, playing video games against each other. And now all the major schools across the country have esports teams, and many of those schools, a very large percentage of those schools, are working with Playfly. So that's really awesome. It's really great, Mike.
Yeah. And I also think just one more sort of version of that is I can already see it in my kids who are all in middle school now. But when you think about it, when you go on a college tour, right? When I went on a college tour as a kid, I wanted to see like the historic part of the university, but and then I wanted to see where the students hang out and all of that. But I wanted to see the football stadium and the basketball arena. Like that got me excited just because I'm a big sports fan. And you can just see it right now, and I can just see it with my kids. Like when they go to school, and if there's an esports venue on that campus that hosts major esports events, they want to see it. Like they're excited about that. That's going to actually help them get excited about deciding which school they go to. So I just feel like we're in this world now that is very different. So this is an opportunity for all of us. 76 Capital has been an innovator in esports, and one of the reasons I got so excited about joining the team in the past and being a part of that effort, because it's really a major movement here that is going to continue to create value for the industry and be an interesting ride as it grows in more popularity, and more revenue streams will come off of it over time. So it's exciting for us at Playfly to be invested in esports and helping our schools.
Well, there's no doubt about it. I mean, you're in the middle. You're certainly in the middle of what's next in collegiate sports. And when you're working with really big universities like University of Virginia, University of Maryland, LSU, what are they telling you today? What are you hearing from your clients, your partners, as to what they want, what they need, what they think the real opportunities are in the future to be able to do things together with you and your team at Playfly? So as we bring Mike back in here in a second, but one of the really exciting things about what Mike has been able to do at not only his...
I think one of the key elements with coronavirus.
Well, we have Mike said COVID, coronavirus. We're talking COVID. It's one of those times where, many of us have these, little glitches in technology. It's all good. We'll bring back Mike in a second. But one of the things that's really been amazing is really to see the type of leadership that Mike has had over in his whole career. And that's why we're really excited about the things that we're able to do together at 76 Capital, as well as really to see what he's now doing at Playfly. I mean, putting together this is a world-class startup with some of the biggest funders behind him, as well as now working with some of the biggest players, as we were mentioning, Maryland and LSU and Virginia, and just, being able to work with those groups and work with them on what's next. And Mike, as we were, talking before, I mean, like, what are some of the things that they're thinking about now, and what gets you really excited about the future?
Yeah, no, definitely. So, the interesting thing right now is there's a lot of issues with slowdown of sports, of course, this year with coronavirus. So a lot of the schools are dealing with their own, management of the issues, dealing with keeping the students healthy and focusing on getting back to play. So really, this year has really been a lot of just trying to find new revenue streams for the schools, supporting them, thinking about how to be creative, adjusting different sponsor implementations to be creative, hosting different types of events that are virtual, and really trying to be as flexible as possible this year, right? As the schools are dealing with their situation. So we just want to be as good of a partner as we can. So that's been a big focus. But outside of that, what we also have been thinking about is how to build towards the future and thinking about new ways to support our schools. And, lots of implementations we've been working on. So for example, technology brings in a big play, and that's a lot of what I want to continue to facilitate. But we've implemented a mobile app strategy where you can actually have the full experience of all, for example, LSU or Virginia as examples. We've launched the LSU app and the UVA app to be able to have a full experience, especially in the years where you're not allowed to have as many, or the year where you're not allowed to have as many people in the stands. You can have your full game day experience on your app. So it's everything from the news to the scores to the highlights to the audio of the game, et cetera. And it's really a great experience. So we believe those types of extensions are ways we can accelerate not only the connection with the brand, the connection with the game day experience, but also just increasing that fandom. And at the end of the day, making sure we're connecting with more and more fans is ultimately the goal of what we do, and then bringing our partners and advertisers and sponsors in tow with that connection really helps us be successful and drive the values and the visions of the school. So that's just one of the examples of what we're doing today. And then another one is esports. We're running esports events for our schools, and it's really a great way to engage. It's virtual, especially this year where you don't have to have everybody in person. So that's a big opportunity. Just engagement. A lot of the student athletes are players too in their gamers. So it's interesting. I've got to had the ability to visit a bunch of locker rooms and different training centers. And here's a picture of me with the team at Old Dominion. And you go and you look at the team room where they watch all their tape, and they have that beautiful screen. Usually in most nice locker rooms, right next to the screen, you're going to see a PlayStation. You're going to see an Xbox. Sometimes you'll see a Switch. It's pretty amazing the overlap between gamers and student athletes. That they love the competition, whether it's virtual or not. So you can bring in that nice competitive element of the student athletes plus an esports initiative, and kind of blending that together to create even more engagement for the school. So it's exciting. We're working on a bunch more implementations that will be announced soon around esports, and it's exciting. Actually, we launched this in September. This business and the combination of traditional college sports with esports, and it's exciting to see the traction we're getting. And there's a lot of people sort of having us, sort of think about how to help them, and it's great. So even more folks in the industry are releasing their version of what we're doing. And this week I saw Learfield, who's a competitor of ours, come out with their version of what's happening here. So it's sort of rising all boats. It's going to be a great run here in esports in the college space.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things that, we talk a lot about at 76 Capital, and you're certainly in the middle of it all on the collegiate side, is this brand new name, image, and likeness issue that's coming down the pike within college. And many of us call it just NIL. But, maybe just for the 76 Capital leadership, audience to really share your thoughts on what's happening with NIL, what potentially will happen in the future, and ways that maybe Playfly could get involved.
Yeah, great. Thanks for mentioning that, Wayne. Yeah, name, image, and likeness is interesting. The amateurism rules in the NCAA, are changing as most people who are following the industry are aware. Traditionally, athletes weren't allowed to be compensated in any way as they were NCAA eligible. Now, still not allowed to be paid for their sport, but are allowed to make money via commercial endeavors and marketing their name, image, and likeness. So it's a big opportunity. This is going to start. The prediction is we're going to have this fully operational by next school year, so July, August timeframe. And the opportunity for student athletes to start using, the value of their brand and the value of their own name, image, likeness, celebrity, etc., to drive and create monetary benefit, just like a pro athlete can, is a really interesting opportunity. What it's going to do is going to change the world of college sports, and it's going to have some positives and some negatives. For the ecosystem as we think about it, right? You're gonna have an opportunity for some students to make a lot of money. Those big, sort of the student leaders, the athlete leaders, and then there's going to be the other folks who are going to look at trying to drive some of their own commercial endeavors, like coaching and some of the different ways using social media to drive value. So there's going to be sort of a different scale across the board in terms of who's going to be able to produce the most amount of value out of this from a student athlete perspective. But we as a company want to be helpful. We want to be part of the ecosystem. There's a few different categories that are out there. There's folks working on compliance to make sure that they're complying with the NCAA rules that are going to come out. There's folks that are working on sort of managing education and transparency around this for the schools. And then there's folks that are working on sort of the marketing and monetization side. We're supporting our schools in all three of those categories and helping them think through where they go next. But I love offense and marketing and monetization is a really interesting category. So we're digging in to look for ways to support the student athletes. We obviously have relationships with all the local advertisers in each of our markets. So we're going to look for ways to be very supportive, both for the schools and for the student athletes to really take advantage of this. It's going to be an interesting evolution. I think the first couple of years are going to be learning years for the industry as everybody gets comfortable with the rules and how to stay within the lines. The lines are probably going to move slightly as the regulations, the first version that comes out, it's probably not going to be perfect in my estimation. So we're going to probably have a generation 2. But it's going to be great to be a partner for our schools and a partner for the industry. But that's one of the things that excites me from an innovation standpoint, something new, something we can participate in, we can help evolve, and we can be a part of. And then ultimately it'll be a driver for our business, but more so create value for those student athletes that have those dreams about, bigger and bigger careers. And we're going to try to support them.
Yeah, I mean, it is really an exciting time. It's a time for, this is where, guys like you and me just get so excited because there is so much opportunity. There's so much change. There's so many things kind of shifting around right now that the opportunity to really think differently and provide, new types of solutions there's nothing better than that. And it's just it's really exciting, especially the fact that it's in the, as everything that you're doing within the world of collegiate sports and high school sports, because even this NIL issue goes down to the high school side as well. So it's really going to move things and shake things up. But at the time, but when that happens, that means there's opportunity.
Yeah, there's going to be opportunity for us. There's going to be opportunity for 76 Capital because there's going to be so many layers of technology that's going to be built and businesses that are going to be launched to support this. You mentioned high school. It's a perfect example. Those kids have always been prepping themselves to be NCAA eligible. Well, now NCAA eligible now means I can make money off of my brand. So you have this evolution now where high school kids can start thinking about their marketing capability in high school as they approach college. So really an interesting evolution. We're in both of those businesses, so we're excited to just jump in. And there's going to be probably a lot of interesting technology companies and other businesses that are going to come out that are going to be great for working with 76 Capital, both from investment side and the advisory side. I'd be remiss if I didn't plug advisory, which is something that of course I was involved in with you guys launching this summer, and excited about that business. And you guys seem to have such a great track record with so many clients coming on board that I'm excited about that and being more of a partner to advisory going forward with Playfly.
Well, it's been, it's amazing. And Mike, in your career, and this is why I really was excited to have you, back on our 76 Capital Leadership Series. I mean, what you did at Comcast and NBC and at Altice, and, being involved with the beginnings of companies like Hulu and Netflix and Amazon, and the types of deals that you did with Apple. I mean, like, you were there at the beginning of so many interesting new things from a digital perspective and TV and media perspective that it's perfect what you're doing next here at Playfly. And one of the things I would love to as we sort of wrap up here on our 76 Capital Leadership Series is really ask you, are there things that our audience can help you with? Are there ways how can they sort of reach out to you and your team, and what are some of the things that you're potentially looking for right now?
Sure. Yeah. No, I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, it's a exciting time. One of the things I say, especially about the moment we're in right now, is sports is forever and pandemics are temporary, right? So I think we're in this interesting spot, still trying to evolve in college sports with the pandemic. But the good thing we know is that it's temporary, and everybody's fighting hard to stay above water at the moment. But for us, we're just trying to support our partners. We believe that being a good partner is important in a time like this. And in terms of other folks that that would be interested in working with us, we're certainly keeping our eyes open to different ways to partner. We're looking for new technology partners as we build out our technology and digital platform plan. We're looking for interesting, we're hiring actually. So we're looking for new folks, both in our traditional college sports businesses, as well as in our esports businesses. So please, let me know. It's feel free to send me a note. It's mike@playfly.com. And we're also looking, for building new relationships. So we're driving new opportunities with new schools and new programs, new state athletic associations and federations that we're working with. So we're always looking for folks who are interested in support there. And we're starting to think about pro and Olympic as well, sports, to be able to support and be a commercial partner for some of those organizations. So if anybody's looking for support or help, in whether it's a pandemic issue they're dealing with or long-term support around partnerships, we're happy to be supportive. And it's just exciting to be a part of this org. I went to University of Virginia, as Wayne, as you mentioned. I grew up as a Terps fan, so to be able to have those two brands in the portfolio is just so exciting. I think the best line I heard that sort of parallels just how excited I am to be a part of this is the famous Bear Bryant quote when he went back to Alabama. He said, "When Mama calls, you have to come running." And I always love that line, and I feel like I'm back home with my Maryland Terps and my Virginia Cavaliers, and it's just exciting to be with those two partners among all of our other great partners that we work with at Playfly, and looking forward to more. So it's an exciting time.
Well, Mike, this has really been great. Thank you so much for your time and for coming on our 76 Capital Leadership Series, sharing all the things that you're doing now at Playfly. I mean, it's exciting to hear you and how excited you are about this and the opportunities that are ahead. So once again, thanks for joining our show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is fun. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So for Wayne Kimmel, our host of our 76 Capital Leadership Series, and my producer, James Santor, this is another edition of our 76 Capital Leadership Series. And you can find all of our series and all of our different shows on social media, whether that's on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. You can follow us at 76 Capital. You can follow me at Wayne Kimmel. You can follow James at James Santor. And please subscribe to our podcasts, whatever platform you want to use, whether that's Spotify and any of the other platforms, as well as Apple Podcasts. And we'll be excited to see you next time on our 76 Capital Leadership Series. Have a great day.